Our first story here, which is Arkansas ballot initiatives. So I told you guys we're going to be going through all of these states each night that I'm live. And then what I plan to do is to clip all of these, make a separate playlist on my channel. So when people want to know how BIs work in certain states and they want to know what passed, they can just click on that playlist and they can see all of the states that have accomplished this year. Arkansas is in the damn house. Now, every state has a different process. For Arkansas, citizens of Arkansas may initiate legislation and amendments through the process of direct initiative. Now, this means that successful petitions bypass the Arkansas legislature and go directly on the ballot for voters to vote on. So when we eventually get to Massachusetts, you'll see this. Massachusetts is one of the more difficult states to accomplish ballot initiatives, but we still accomplish them. We don't always get all of them, but we've been doing pretty well considering it's more difficult for our state. It's easier for Arkansas because they are a direct initiative. They can bypass the legislature and just get it right on the ballot. That is important for people to know. Citizens of Arkansas may initiate legislation as either a state statute, aka law or constitutional amendment. In Arkansas, citizens also have the power to repeal legislation via veto referendum. The Arkansas state legislature, like the other 49 states, may place their own measures on the ballot as a legislatively referred constitutional amendment, but also, unlike most states, they can place legislatively referred state statutes on the ballot to allow voters to participate in approving their laws the legislature wishes to pass as well. Now, how many signatures do they need? Initiated constitutional amendment signatures equal to at least 10% of the total number of votes cast for the office of governor in the last gubernatorial election are required. Initiated state statute signatures equal to at least 8% of this total are required. Veto referendums signatures equal to at least 6% of this total is required. Now, let's see what they passed or what they did not pass this year in Arkansas. The first one is Arkansas Issue 1, legislative authority to call a special session amendment. This one did not pass, and the voting percentage was 60.86%. A yes vote for this. The initiative amendment was put forth by the legislator, not the voters, so the voters can ratify via the legislatively referred constitutional amendment, where a yes vote supported allowing the state legislature to call itself into extraordinary sessions. A joint proclamation from the Speaker of the House and the Senate President pro tempore. B, upon a proclamation signed by 2/3 of the members in each chamber. I really need to make this bigger. Sorry. It's just the words are so small. Okay. Going into the election, Arkansas was one of 14 states where only the governor can call a special session. In the other 36 states, special sessions could be called by the governor or the state legislature itself. Special sessions could be called by state legislatures upon a majority or a supermajority vote. However, in 3 states, no vote of the legislature was required, and a special session could be called by a proclamation of the presiding officers. In 10 states, a simple majority, 50% plus 1, is required. In 17 states, a 2/3, which is 66.67% supermajority votes, was required. 5 states require a 3/5, 60% supermajority vote. 1 state, Missouri, required approval from 3/4 of the legislature. So That did not pass there. The next initiative, this one also failed by 59.14%. More below, keep scrolling. Yeah. By 59.14%. Arkansas issue 2, 60% supermajority vote required for constitutional amendments and ballot initiative measure. Let me tell you what this means really quick. There's a couple of states that have been trying to do this. They're trying to make it a little bit more difficult for you to pass ballot initiatives. So what they are doing, and South Dakota tried to do this too, what they have been trying to do is they've been trying to make it where you need to actually get 60% of the vote in order for the BI to pass. Now, why is that a problem? Because if you have 52% that voted for it, that is the majority of the votes. They are trying to make it more difficult. So now they're trying to say you need at least 60% of the votes in order for it to pass. This failed. A yes vote supported requiring 60% supermajority vote of approval from voters to adopt constitutional amendments. So I'm glad that this did not pass, as you can see. So that means they don't have to reach that 60%. That's important. Now, this is something that Roger Meadows put here in red. Look closer. The legislature said 60% for ratification of the amendments they put before the voters. 60% for voters to ratify for amendment voters place on the ballot. 60% for voters to pass laws that voters place on the ballot using the initiative process. However, notice they left out 60% for both chambers of the legislature to pass laws using traditional process where voters are not involved. Theirs would still be left at 50%. You see what they're trying to do here? So they're telling you for the legislature, we don't have to get to 60%. If we have 51%, our things are going to pass. But for the voters, you guys got to get to 60%. Pay close attention to things like that. So this didn't pass. That is a good thing. Moving on. This amendment, this ballot initiative also failed. It failed by 50.43%. Arkansas issue number 3, government burden of free exercise of religion amendment. Okay, this measure was defeated. The initiative amendment was put forth by the legislature, not the voters, but legislator asking for voters to ratify the amendment. This measure would have allowed a person to cite this amendment as a claim or defense in judicial, administrative, or other proceeding to obtain relief against the government. The amendment would have been named the Arkansas Religious Freedom Amendment in the state constitution. The constitutional amendment would have stated that the purpose of the amendment was to guarantee that the freedom of religion is not burdened by the state and local law, and provide a claim or defense to persons whose religious freedom is burdened by the government. Again, that one did not pass. And there is one more. This one also failed. Arkansas issue number 4, marijuana legalization. I think you guys pretty much know what this one is about. Now, it failed by 56.28%. Arkansas was one of the states that did not choose to legalize marijuana. Isn't it crazy considering it's 2022 when people are still arguing over this? Guys, it's a plant. Come on. Okay, this measure was defeated. The initiative amendment was put forth by the voters for voter ratification to their amendment. The measure would have legalized marijuana for individuals 21 years of age or older, and would have authorized the commercial sale of marijuana with sales to be taxed at 10%. This is absolutely foolish because I have to tell you, I live in a state where we did legalize marijuana. It brings in money to the state because you tax it. So the state gets more money. So they're just, I mean, come on. Arizona is one of the poorest states in this country. So they just killed a way for their state to make more money because ethics or some shit. I don't know. Let's go on. Of the tax revenue, 15% would have been used to fund an annual stipend to an all full-time law enforcement officers certified by the Commission on Law Enforcement Standards and Training that are in good standing. Adults could have possessed up to 1 ounce of marijuana. Under the amendment, businesses that have already held licenses under the state's medical marijuana program would have been authorized to sell marijuana at their existing locations and could have established 1 additional location for commercial sale only. An additional 40 licenses would have been given to businesses chosen by a lottery. You guys see, like you really killed this option to bring in more money to the state. And you're still criminalizing people over a plant. Greg Bruce says, gateway devil herb, right? You know, it's going to be harder to pass recreational marijuana in some of the, I used to call them the Bible Belt states, but it's true. It's going to be harder to pass in those states. And some people will say because of religious reasons. I've lived in those states, I know. But even Virginia passed it. And do you know how Virginia passed it? You guys know? There was a guy named Lee Carter. Lee Carter is a socialist, proudly claims to be a socialist, never claimed to be anything else when he was running for office. He ran for the Virginia House. He won as a socialist. I've interviewed him on the show. You should check out that interview. That was Lee Carter's bill. Lee Carter was the one that brought forth legalizing marijuana in Virginia. Now, there were certain things in that bill that he had that they actually removed. And one of them was to release all of the prisoners that were in jail for marijuana. They took that part out, of course. But for those of you who live in Virginia, that is who you have to thank for that. Lee Carter. See what you can do sometimes on the local level. And then I think there was one more. Okay, that was the end of that one. Yeah. So that's Arkansas. What's that, Roger? It was a fund the police provision, Sab, a big gotcha. That's a good point, too. So that could have also been another reason why some people voted against it, because they were going to try to give like 15% to the police. But they did that on purpose. They put that in there so that people who have issues with law enforcement would vote against it and they wouldn't have legalized marijuana in that state. You see how people try to do sneaky things? They try to be sneaky with that. I know for Massachusetts, that is not the way that it worked. So that is Arkansas ballot initiatives. All right, Arkansas.